MJ, you're first. Congratulations. You are first. 8 seconds before my ad ends. .0 seconds before my ad ends. You're here. Welcome in. Adjust that a little bit. Hi. It's the day. The day of meat toaster. I cracked it open, scrubbed it out, poked around a little bit. Looks like some of that 70s craftsmanship. Plugged it in to see what it would do. It got hot. It gave me a couple little wisps right at the start, but then it didn't smoke at all. Nothing seems to be burning. I waited for the coils to get like fully hot to see if it was gonna do something once they really engaged, and it smelled like hot metal, but it didn't smell like anything was burning, so I think we're good. The cord got a little bit warm. Didn't get hot, but it got noticeably a little on the warm side. So I will be keeping an eye on that. In my cleaning, I noticed it wasn't quite as pristine as I originally thought. There's a teensy tiny bit of rust on the bottom edge where the enamel ends. Likely because it was sitting in someone's basement or closet or something for 50 years. But it was brand new, unused, because, and I can prove it, because here's all the bits of cardboard that were protecting inner parts of it. And I had to pull off the original 50s masking tape that was holding the drip tray in place, and then scrub off the original 50s tape adhesive that had hardened in place over the intervening 50 years. We also have the instruction book, which, slide over here. There's the side of the meat toaster. Liz, you're not first. Congratulations. So we saw the front already. I showed a picture of the front. And then it has a nice diagram. But look at the art in this thing. Look at that cow. Glacier Crest, you're not first. Congratulations. Welcome in, everyone. We're going through the book now. And pick something easy. We're doing something easy and basic to start, just to give this thing a safe starting point. We'll bring it back out with something a little more complex, but it has recipes in here with this just delightful. We're doing that one. Wieners, because I figured it doesn't take very long and we don't have to do. I don't want to stress it out on its first outing, so we're going for something basic. Plus, this is an excuse for me to make hot dog buns, which I've always wanted to practice doing because it shouldn't be hard. I understand that it shouldn't be hard, and I've just never done it. So we're doing that. I actually got 2 recipes, and they coincidentally are the same place. So we're using a recipe for buns from Chef Lola's Kitchen today, and we're also using a loose guide for plantains from Chef Lola's Kitchen. Because as much as I just said I don't want to stress this thing out, I kind of want to see if you can grill a plantain in it. So I've got a not completely black plantain that we are going to give a go to. The staples rusted a little bit as well. Look at this book. This is just, it's so adorable. These are pretty basic recipes. The most important thing looking at the recipes is it's guiding you on how to set the device. You guys can look nicely right down the barrel of this thing. But the sides fold open. And some recipes want, well, no, all recipes, it says you must have the reflectors in place. Some recipes want you to have the doors ajar like that to vent. Presumably it gets overheated in there if you leave it on too long. So that's sort of the, use your judgment on the recipes that it provides to see whether you think you need to ajar your doors or not. It also recommends preheating for some things and not preheating for other things. So there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. I don't know how often we're going to use this thing, which is why I wanted to start out with something pretty simple. Which we're not going to do for quite a bit of time now, because I am going to start out by trying to make those buns. But yeah, that's the meat toaster. And then when you're using it, this thing gets full of food, and you, don't do it under the cabinets. But this thing gets full of food, and you just kind of jam it in there. And that's it. That's the whole thing. There is no controls. When you plug it in, it immediately starts heating aggressively. And it's not very adjustable once you've started either. So yeah, that's the plan. That's today's main event. But since hot dogs don't take very long to cook, we're not starting there. We are starting faceplant. Welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. We're not starting with the meat toaster because, again, it says hot dogs take 5 minutes, and we're not doing a 5-minute thing. I'm going to make buns. We're going to make buns. As I said, I've got a reference recipe up, which we're going to follow pretty precisely. Although I am going to cut it in half because I don't need a lot of buns. Chef Lola's Kitchen, thank you for providing a, in your own words, quick and easy hot dog bun recipe. So we'll start getting things out for that. I need yeast. I need sugar. I need milk, and for the milk, I am going to be using dry milk today. I need flour. The flour tower is already waiting in the wings. 1 egg, melted butter. Butter. It says 2 eggs. Oh, dang. That means I need half an egg. Awkward. So we need half an egg if I cut this in half. Faceplant. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for this resub. Oh no, not resub. That's 6 months in advance. Oh my God. That's even better. Thank you for the 6 months in advance. I'm put on the spot now. I have to actually stream for 6 months. Thank you so much. I don't have an alert set up for subs. This is my alert for subs. I saw the 6 and I thought it was a 6-month resub, but no. But no. But no. It's not. Well, thank you so much. I don't know. We just grab an egg. We're going to have to divide an egg because some of the egg is needed to egg wash the tops of the buns, and some of the egg is needed to go in the buns. And the recipe says 2 eggs, but it uses 1 egg at the... You know what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. You're getting what I'm putting down. Yeast, sugar, milk, flour, salt, egg, butter. That's it. Okay. This should make buns. Need half a cup of warm milk. I've taken to buying powdered milk because I don't use milk enough to warrant buying a jug of liquid milk and then having it go bad. And powdered milk is good enough for the things that I need it for. Because I'm not drinking a glass of milk. I don't eat cereal with milk. So it's not like I'm using a lot of liquid milk anyways. To make 1 cup, a 1/4 cup of this stuff to a cup of water. So 1/8 of a cup. 1/8 of a cup is 2 tablespoons. So 2 tablespoons of this stuff into a half a cup of warm water makes our warm milk. I don't know how big of a... This can't make too big of a ball because I'm making a half recipe. So we're going to go for medium casserole dish. One, 2. We need 1 tablespoon of sugar. Let's make sure I don't get any powdered milk in my sugar. Or if I do, it is a very minimal amount. One tablespoon of sugar. 1 teaspoon of yeast. Ooh, we're getting low on yeast. We're getting a little bit low on the old yeast there. I will have to put that on my list. Oh my God. Faceplant. So nice. Giving a sub to Kiwi. Kiwi Mish. She goes by Mish. Thanks so much. I'm sure she'll thank you when she gets here. Also, Liz is laughing maniacally. That's all of our dry. I need warm water. Counting. Okay. Counting something. I'm going to bring this with me so that it does not spill in transit. I'm just going to go with warm tap water, or tap warm water. This means I'm running the tap until it's warm. The ideal temperature for yeast, I think, is 110 degrees. Oh, you're that kind of counting. I get it. I understand it. It doesn't quite immediately translate in text form. Uh, Big whisk. Whiskey whisk. This whisk. Okay, get all that stuff dissolved in there. Set aside to let those yeasts wake up. Meantime, we need an awkward quantity of butter because I've cut the recipe in half. Melted. Oh, and hey, we get to break out one of the new beasts today. There's a hype train in progress. When did that happen? Oh, it's Ryuya. Ryuya kicked off a hype train. Hi, Ryuya. Welcome in. Get on in here. You kicked off a hype train. Oh my god. I looked over and there was a thing. Hi, Ryuya. How's it going? We'll get to the meat toaster a little bit later. I already showed off a little bit right at the start, but I mean, yes, Ryuya put us over the top to kick off the hype train. Faceplant did all of the groundwork leading up to it. This needs to be melted. I'm gonna go melt that in our microwave real quick. Microwave lives around the corner. Start at 20 seconds because I don't want to explode it. Megs, what are you doing? Thank you, Max. Thanks, everybody, for kicking off a hype train, for getting up in here. It's Meat Toaster Day. It is indeed. The meat toaster is over there, waiting for me. I think if I give that 5 more seconds, it'll be melted. Yeah, it's close enough to melted. Hype. Also, the new cutting board. It's super nice. It's so nice to cut on. Oh, you can feel how the blade just kind of it doesn't skitter around. It like holds the blade in place really well. There's a bigger one too, but the bigger one is unnecessary for most things at this point. Liz, thanks for the bits. And now I gotta do bit. Every time somebody puts in bits, I gotta think I gotta make up a bit reward. Oh no, we'll talk about this cutting board in a sec because it's really nice. Let's see. I need half an egg. Ugh. That'll be why the recipe is as big as it is, because it only needs one egg, and ooh, that egg has a tough membrane. Because we only need one egg, and splitting an egg is awkward. guess we tiny whisk our egg because we want it nice and smooth. How do I think swordfish would do in the meat toaster? At this point, I couldn't tell you. I haven't used it to cook anything. I've only turned it on to see what it'll do, and it didn't catch on fire. Flamingo's here for the meat toaster. I suspect many of you are here for the meat toaster. It's meat toaster day after all. We'll get to it. Don't worry. Don't worry. We're going to have Tiny Whisk smooth out my egg. I get to show off a bunch of stuff though. We didn't show off the new cutting board last time. Well, that is a tough albumin in there. But it's a dream to cut on the new cutting board. Really, it's great. Good enough. Just the fact that a knife edge on the board doesn't slip. It doesn't slide at all. I mean, I can force it to slide, but it doesn't like naturally slide. It wants to stay in line with itself. And it's really solid, but not like, oh, it's just great. This was such a good, this was a thrift store find. And I could not. It is end grain. A friend of mine said that there might be some oak in it. I don't know enough about wood to tell you what these woods are. I plan on taking it over to him to have a closer look. He cautioned me that oak is not a great wood for a board. But it is. I've also got a bigger one that has like little feet that rocks a little bit because the cuttings, the worktop here is on. MJ, good night. Good night, MJ. Well, MJ, you're first. No one can take that away from you, especially if you leave. Let me grab my recipe. My yeast is not super active, which has me mildly concerned. Those bubbles, it is forming some new bubbles. It's just doing it really slow. Maybe I over-sugared it. But yeast likes sugar. I don't know. Well, I'm going to let that set aside while we measure stuff out. I'm going to move the board. I'm going to move the recipe book. I've collected all the level 1 emotes. Well, that's a good sign. That's the end of the hype train. Thank you so much for kicking off a hype train. Whenever we get one, I'm like, oh my god, we never get a hype train. But they seem like they're happening more often. You guys must be stepping up and being awesome. Two and a half cups flour, but we're cutting that in half. So 1 1/4 cups flour, which is also not how you should measure flour. Add the proofed yeast, 1 egg, and the melted butter to the flour. Oh, okay. Just imagine, who would ever be like that? Certainly not me. Gross. Ew. Ew, gross. Two. We're doing 5 of these. 3. 4. 5, and we're keeping the tower of flour handy because we're going to need flour down the line, but we will put the lid back on it to avoid making a flour disaster. We also need salt, half a teaspoon of salt, so just a smidge of salt. I worry that my yeast might have gotten old because it is not very active in that bowl, and I don't have any backup yeast to work with. So I guess make a note and pray. Ooh, unless there's yeast in here. Doesn't look like it. Is there a date on the package? Also, hi, Bookwoman. Welcome in. Is there a date on the package? The date on my yeast says... says it's old. I won't tell you how old, but it says it's old. Okay, well, I guess we're just gonna hope. These might be some bad buns. The meat toaster, wheat former, hi. Meat toaster is there. There it is. There it is. So hey, my yeast is old. That's a thing. Well, we don't have any backup yeast, and I don't have any buns. So if this fails, I have some sliced bread. We can do it Australian style, where they just put a hot dog on a piece of bread. I've learned my lesson about putting salt into my flour, that it needs to be super fine or you'll get crunchy bits. Anyways, I think my yeast has failed to proof. Well, they're supposed to be hot dog buns. Because we're doing hot dogs. If this fails, don't blame Chef Lola. Blame me. I blame me. I guess I'll put that on the list. Well, going in. We need the liquid. We need the liquid either way, so it's going in. It smells yeasty, which is a good sign. It was warm. I did warm milk, and it got a tablespoon of sugar, so it got quite a lot of sugar too. I worry that I may even have over sugared it. That guy didn't really melt super well. And then we need half of our egg, awkwardly. I should probably preheat the oven too, right? Huh? Huh? Yeah, let's do that real quick too. Okay. There's quite a bit of sugar in it. Yep. Not. It has some bubbles. It's not completely dead. It was actively producing some bubbles, and it smells very yeasty. I think it's just that the yeast is very, very old, so it's not much of it is active. So it'll probably work. We might need to let it proof a bit longer just to, you know, have a chance. Anyways, mix all this stuff together. Until it is all hydrated and forms a shaggy, soft dough. I'm cautioned in the recipe not to want to add more flour even if the dough seems soft. Seems too soft. It's apparently supposed to seem a bit too soft. And also, I would like it to be in that bowl. So I'm going to transfer us back to the smaller bowl. I neglected the fact that I'm supposed to proof the yeast in the milk in a smaller bowl and then pour it into the flour. So I started us in the smaller bowl and then had to go bit. I'm not a confident enough baker to know how much chemical leavening to add, and I think we've already passed that phase of things. So I guess we're gonna power through and see what it does. See what it do. Ooh, I wish I had picked a stiffer spatula for this as well. Well, this is part of the learning experience. This is half the fun. We learn that 2.5 years is too long for yeast, even though just a couple months ago it was behaving properly. So there's a tipping point. I mean, it'll be edible. It'll be edible regardless. So we'll do something with it. We're not going to throw it out. I'm not going to throw it out. I'll have to come up with things to do with old yeast. That'll be a fun, some fun experiments. Make a yeast soup. Anyways, that's our shaggy mass. There's no like, oh, there is a little bit. Okay, shaggy mass. Let's get some plastic over the top. Zelda, 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 Zelda. fellow streamer Zelda, Zeldangerous, is here with me right now. Amazing. Meat toaster. There it is. There it is, waiting for me over there, ready to go. Hi, Zelda. Welcome, 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 welcome. We're in the process of failing to make some hot dog buns. Here they are. They look really bunny, don't they? Mmm, buns. I think our yeast is dead, so we're gonna see what they do. Let's see. It's covered with tight-fitting plastic wrap. Rest for 5 minutes. Okay. I guess I just let them rest for 5 minutes and hydrate. This is supposed to be the quick and easy buns method. Mish, I have been pre-introduced to you, Mish. So hello, welcome in. If my yeast is alive, then it's quick and easy. I know, I'm aware. There's no need to shout. I have other things I want to do today. Like mustard. Oh, well, thanks, Bob. Did we just Doc's faceplant? Mustard for the hot dog. Well, welcome in. Glad to have you. I would say we have controlled chaos around here, but it's not so controlled. I lose track of stuff I lose track of this whole room all the time. Use my Miracle Grow. This came in a box of Miracle Grow, and when I was done with it, I noticed that this is a 1.5 tablespoon measure, and this is a 1/2 teaspoon measure, both of which are convenient. Meat toaster. Behold. Ooh. We are starting it out with something very simple because I don't want to stress it out on its first outing. So our very first one is going to be hot dogs. But it has this delightful recipe book. We're doing this one because it's very, very simple. But it has a delightful recipe book. That is very, very 70s. But yeah, for our very first outing on it, I am going to give it. Yeah, this thing is half the battle here. Also, have you ever made mustard before? I want to see how it performs on something that I'm very confident I I don't want to throw in experimental stuff to start with. And a steak isn't exactly experimental, but I don't have a great track record with steak in general. I overcook it a lot. Um, so I want to go something that I'm super, super confident on. There were some other options in here. Like if you go in here, there's a recipe for frozen waffles, and it says put the frozen waffles in the thing. Also, that I don't want to throw a steak in there and have it ruin the steak. Pork chops. Pork chops are definitely a possibility. Pork chops are on the butterflied lobster tail, baconed trout, sausage, specifically bratwurst, but also Polish sausage, lamb chops, pork chops. There you go. Half-inch pork chops, so relatively thin pork chops. Um, Preheat broiler with doors ajar. Score chops, sprinkle with paprika. Place on rack, fat side up. Broil 40 to 45 minutes. Good Lord. This was the 70s, of course. So they are telling you to overcook your pork, which is the thing we're not gonna do. But they're telling you to overcook your pork because they were still working on the pork must be cooked all the way through, well done, ruined. Also, we're making mustard. That's what this is. Yeah, the the time when the time when they still had trichinella in the pork and you had to cook it until it was completely ruined to make sure that you didn't get gut worms. Um, that is exactly it. There were, but it ruined the pork, and it made a lot of people think they didn't like pork because they only ever had super dried out pork. And it persists. There's a persistent notion that you have to cook pork well done, even though you'll talk to the same people and they'll be like, well done ruins the steak. Well, it ruins the pork too. That's the problem people have with turkey a lot of the time too. They say, oh, it's dry. Well, it's dry because you overcooked it. And they overcook it because they try to do a whole bird, and then by the time the thighs are done, the thighs and the wings are done, the breast is overcooked. So yeah, that's another thing you got to adjust your recipes. Now the beef recipes are probably more on point. What you got? Beef roast, 1.5 inch thick chuck roast. Barbecue short ribs. There you go. This one's just called steak, but it recommends a T-bone, sirloin, or porterhouse, and it only is in there 8 minutes to rare, 10 minutes to medium, 12 minutes to well done. So 40 minutes on that pork chop is going to completely destroy that pork chop. Because if your well done steak at 12 minutes, your pork chop is going to be burnt at 45. Oops. We're going to take just a dash of not paprika, turmeric. Come on. Oop. For color. And we're not supposed to hydrate that until just before we need to use it. I want some salt as well. Sloppy Joes and coleslaw. Sounds good. Sounds good. It's been more than 5 minutes on that dough, and it doesn't look like it's done anything. But 5 minutes wouldn't be long enough, even if it was like actively yeasting. So I'm going to assume that was just to allow the flour to all hydrate. We could do Hawaii burgers. We will come back to this thing, assuming that this is a success. Warder. Oh my God. Thank you so much. Prime sub. Prime rib in toaster or riot. Well, oh, I don't have any. Oh, yeah. There's one. I guess we're rioting. I don't have any prime rib. Okay, this has not changed one tiny bit. But I guess we'll move on to see what it does. Remove plastic. Tip onto a lightly floured work surface. With floured hands. Sticky. And knead, gradually adding leftover quarter cup of flour. Quarter cup. So gradually add that much flour to it. Whew. It's not that sticky. Well, thank you. I make most of the emotes myself. WeFormer has contributed a couple, the ones that look like an actual person face. I need more ideas. I have some empty slots, and I just need some ideas to put in them. getting sticky, so I will add some more of our flour. Goal is to get all of this flour into this dough ball, and then none more. I don't want to overshoot. Presumably you want a nice sort of pillowy dough. A meat toaster emote. Ages and ages ago, people wanted a Tiny Whisk emote because Tiny Whisk was our friend, our buddy, our constant companion. But I feel like people forgot about Tiny Whisk. He never got an emote. Wow. Really sticks to my hands. Okay, that's the last bit of our flour. Let's get all of that incorporated in and call it a dough ball. I can see why it wants me to add it a bit at a time instead of all at once. I don't really have any characters besides my little Jupiter guy. Pick up all of these little bits of flour around the edges. Oh, excuse me. Petition for meat toaster. I kind of want to do like little fruits and vegetables. He's not really a very smooth dough ball, is he? He's really sticky on the inside, too. But I was cautioned, it will seem too soft. Don't be tempted to add more. I would have added more, but I guess don't. Get the flour off my hands. It wanted me to lightly oil or butter the bowl. So we're just going to give it a spritz. Put the plastic right back on the top. It doesn't stick anymore because there's just enough of a spritz, oil spritz. And it needs to go in a warm place. I don't have one of those. Nothing is warm in this house. Nothing. How much heat is coming off of that? Right there. Right there. With that burner off. The top of the stove is getting some heat bleed from the preheated oven. Oh, actually, rear center, I think. here, center. Yeah, right there. That's my proofing spot. I don't have an oven light, and also the oven is currently on at 350 degrees. My oven has no light. My oven is very old and terrible. But yes, the oven is currently hot for that. Hot for that. But there's just enough of a warmth coming through the middle. Actually, quite warm in the front where it's sort of. The oven is just so terrible. The oven is just awful. Just awful. Keep that handy. Blep, 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 blep. Scrape down our goobers. Okay. Goobers scraped. Bring back our lovely cutting board. Oh, I wish I had a nice oven. Oh, that's like one of the things that I have that sucks most of all is the oven. Let's see, if I'm gonna put, so the idea is to put the plantain in at the same time as the hot dogs. So I need to see how thick the hot dogs are. Because if one thing is thicker than the other thing, the thinner thing is going to fall. You're all purple again. Everyone's always purple. These are the hot dogs. They're just store-bought hot dogs. They're ballpark, and I got them for $2, $2.50. Mags is always red. Mish is currently also red. Warder is random colors. But Flamingo, Weeformer, Ryuya, you're always purple. And you always come in together. And some other people are purple too that show up a lot. Wall of purple. Don't you start that purple gang stuff in here. Where's my knife? There's my knife. Don't you start that purple gang stuff in here. Okay, we're going to do this without cutting my hand. So that's about the thickness I want for my plantain. Take our ends off. Plantain looks good. There is no recipe for plantain in the book. There is a recipe for potato, but it's potatoes and onions, and it puts them in a foil envelope, which it recommends doing with a lot of sort of loose things. What plantain? Where? I don't see any plantain. On the other hand, it does tomatoes right on the racks. So you can definitely cook vegetables exposed to the heat. You don't have to put them in little envelopes. Keeping this away from our active cooking spaces because I don't want the booklet here to get goopy. So it's going back there when we're not using it. So because the potatoes are going in a envelope, they kind of steam and don't get direct blast of heat. So I don't think that's a very good guide. Plantains are also not quite as hard of a starch. They're still a firm starch, but they're not quite as intensely robust as a potato is, a raw potato. So I don't think we will need I've gotten better at this too. I don't think we will need to cook it for nearly as long as we would the potato. Pull off some of the strings. There. No longer camo plantain. Now plantain is exposed, nude. This one's on the ripe side too, so it's firm, but I think I could probably crush it with my hands where I couldn't do that with a potato. I think we're going to go with a halves and then splitsies like that. Should be thick enough to hold them in place. We could do splitsies like that. Oop. I mistargeted my slice along my other slice. Probably could have gotten one a little bit less ripe than this, but this should mean that it cooks faster too. Put it in a package with brown sugar, butter, and whiskey. While that sounds very tasty, I intend to grill the plantains in exposed to the heat. I'm putting them in with the hot dogs because one of the things that the book cautions me to do is not to take stuff in and out and in and out. No peeking. I think so that it doesn't get drips on the exposed heating elements. You're supposed to unplug it before you take the food out. I have terrible news about the dough. It's not doing anything. What is that ring? Why is there a yellow? Is it egg drips? Oh, it's egg drips. Ugh. Our hot dog buns might be a bust entirely on the back of the yeast not being a thing. Okay, this guy. Kiwi. Sorry, Mish. I'm going to keep calling you both because I'll forget. Thank you so much. On Liz. Liz, you dropped the ball. No, that's perfectly all right. I was going to do it like this. But maybe I should do it like this. Will this work? The things here are kind of springy. The things here are kind of springy. Many, many nicknames. Just spreading the vibe. Lots of names. Brain. Okay. If I do that, can I pick it up and stuff's gonna fall? Stuff all falls. Well, part of the learning process. It pinches together better at the top than at the bottom. So the plantains should definitely be at the top. We could also do it inside out. It does permit us to do it inside out. I think these things are too thin, which means we have to go inside out. It's got springs at the bottom, so it's ready for you to be weird. I know I got out 4 hot dogs, but what if I just did 2 hot dogs? Put 2 back. Ooh. I might have to do this as separate things. I don't think I can get... If I do this, they slide so aggressively. Plantains might not work in this. They're very resistant. They're very resistant to the whole process. They're too slippy. Whereas I can do hot dogs. Like so. And they stay. And they stay. And that's the idea. What if I turn them the other way? It's a... Okay. boy, they the dough is not doing anything. I'm very worried that it's just gonna not do nothing. Not even a little bit. I feel like you can only put one thing in at a time. Yeah, I think we're running into that where stuff has to be exactly the same thickness or it doesn't work. Because of the way that this cage wants to snap together. Let's try having the hot dogs in this way and see if they still hold. Oh no, they're too thin for that. Okay, so when they say thick and thin foods, the cutoff is like an inch. Good to know. Good to know. Supposedly you can do bacon in this thing. Which means it can handle very thin if it needs to. Well, I leave that to the side. We didn't come here to not use a meat toaster, so let's do the thing. We are starting with some aluminum foil. Some big aluminum foil. This is part of the instruction of the thing. I'll show you in a sec what I mean once we get this aluminum foil torn off. The big sheet does not like to tear. So as I was showing it off earlier, there are these reflector plates inside the doors. The reflector plate says, shiny, shiny. Important! Reflector must always be in place. Use foil for easy cleaning and reflectivity. And the full instructions in the booklet also talk about doing this. And I poked a hole for the little tab, although I did not poke a hole for the hangers. Where's my knife? Knife. I did not think to poke a hole for the hanger slots. I'm using the back of the knife for that, not the blade. Awkward. Okay. And then we retrieve the meat toaster. Behold its glory. Yada yada, blah blah. This thing goes here. Ooh, it is much harder to reassemble with the foil on it. Okay, that guy goes there, like so. And then locks in on the side. And then we do the same on the other side. I don't know that the foil is necessarily necessary, but, and in fact, I think doing it the way I did where I punched holes in it is wrong. I'm not going to undo that side now, but I feel like I should fold it upward toward the hanger end, which means I need twice as much foil. I think I'm supposed to do it like this. That's too much foil. There was no diagrams for this part. Just says, put the foil on. As if putting foil on is something that everyone knows how to do. Okay, well, it's foiled. And I am supposed to keep it out from underneath overhanging things, which is you guys. You're an overhanging thing. Now, in my testing, surprisingly not a ton of heat came straight up. It definitely was venting heat, but it wasn't venting nearly as aggressively as I thought it was going to. I think the internal reflection kind of does actually keep a lot of the heat in there. But I don't want to risk melting my camera lens, so I don't think we can cook with it here facing you guys. I would love to be able to cook with it here facing you guys. But, you know, the camera's right, that's you guys. The camera's right there. You've only got about a foot clearance. And I don't know if that's enough clearance for heat purposes. So I was gonna go over and do it on the stovetop. Zaizan, you're not first. So my next plan was to bring it over here. Sort of awkwardly prop it in the middle. Because also this surface is heat proof, it being a stove. I should gauge, I really need to gauge how much heat comes out of this thing. And also I don't know how well a camera can handle it. So this is the plan. Also, you'll notice that guy not doing much. Really not doing much. It's a little bit bigger than it was. It is definitely doing something, but it's not doing much. It has me concerned. Doing a concern. So yeah, the plan is to try it here. And we will see how much heat it gives off when we do an actual cook on it. I also need quite a lot of clearance directly above it in order to get the rack in there. That's another issue. So we even slide it. Can you guys even see anything anymore? I don't know. Anyways, hot dog recipe. We're doing it right now. Hot dog recipe. Preheat with the doors closed. Don't blow up my house. It's immediately getting hot. I can do this though. I can adjust our angles. I will sign your doctor's note if you would like to skip work tomorrow. Can confirm. Burned off Reformer's face. Tragic meat toaster accident. Ooh, it's hot. It gets very hot very fast. You can just barely see the tops of those coils, so we'll watch them turn red together, because they're about as thick as the coils in my oven, and they are made of the same stuff. So that's how much heat it puts off. Mm-hmm. If I turn the light off, can you see the glow? Can you see the glow? No. The camera's filtering out the glow too much. You can see the glow, just barely. Just barely. It says once the coils are glowing, it's preheated. You can put your food in. So here we go. Our hot dog slipped a little bit on the way in. Let's set a timer. And we're not gonna walk away. We're gonna do this. It's not gonna do much. You're not gonna see it doing much. You can see the reflection in the foil has changed a little bit. That's from the coil on the other side, I think, reflecting against it. I think it'll perform. I actually think the hot dogs might be a little bit tricky because they're loose. I think it'll perform best with a single large piece of something. So the steak that Warder demanded definitely actually seems like it is the thing that this is meant for, and a thick steak too. Given how springy those springs are, you want probably like an inch and a half thick for the ideal size. We're dripping hot dog juices out the bottom already. Wow. It's doing the thing. I need a place to catch these when they come out. Good news. I have good news. I have good news over here. The thing is fogging up, and the dough ball has relaxed and expanded a little bit, which are both signs of some activity. It's doing something. It's probably just going to need a little bit of a longer shot, but it is in fact doing the thing. Very exciting. I'm still going to get new yeast because that yeast is... I have a warm spot. Well, we had to take away the warm spot because the warm spot is here, back here. Actually, I could probably leave it there. It's not too warm. As long as I don't touch the side of this. This thing does not radiate much heat out the sides at all. Oh, and it's actually not radiating that much heat out the top. It's hot. I'm not going to say it's not hot out the top, but it's not like it's blasting me out the top really hard. We probably could have put it under the camera. Can you put the meat toaster on a half sheet pan to catch the drippings? No, there is a drip catcher. I'm looking at the bottom, there's a drip catcher to see the drips. Oh, it's glowing. It's hot. Hot dogs are in there. It is glowing like the inside of an oven. Like I said, the coils are about as thick as the ones in my oven. So they're pretty beefy coils. Oh, I was going to say I needed to make sure that our... Whoa. That's a concern. The cord is hot. Not painfully hot, but hotter than I would like. I'm gonna let it go for the remaining minute. But that's not ideal. That's not ideal. It's not. That's not my favorite. I might look into trying to replace the cord because the cord, like, it's slightly warm all along the length of the cord, but it's kind of concerningly warm right at the place where it attaches to the plug. So let's unplug it. It didn't trip my circuit breaker. It's unplugged. We might look into replacing the cord. I want something to catch this on when I take it out. That doesn't... It's sizzling quite audibly. Can you hear the sizzle? I guess I just want a cookie sheet. So after 5 minutes, the cord was getting kind of warm, so I don't have a meter. I know somebody who has a meter. We can look into that. Moment of truth. Get my arm out of the way. Moment of truth. Well, it works. Oh. Let's bring those over. Let's bring those over here. They got toasty. And that was, the thing said 5 to 7 minutes, and I went for 5 because I figured we'll start at 5, and then if it needs more, I'll leave it in there. They got done. So it's a powerful beast. It's a powerful little beastie. I wonder if we could put something on the cord to limit the amount, because it doesn't. It works like a waffle iron where you plug it in and it just immediately starts heating. There's no controls or anything, so it's just drawing whatever full power my wall can give to it. And I wonder if I could like strangle that off a little bit. Hot diggity. Well, I mean, in terms of it doing the thing that it's supposed to do, it did the thing that it's supposed to do. It got very hot. I think there was a little bit of plantain on my grills as well. I don't think I'm going to do the plantain in the grill now. It definitely cooked them. Hi, Saucelys. I missed you coming in. Anyways, in terms of it getting hot, damn, does this thing get hot. Wow. It's a serious hot. I bet you could make a pretty mean steak in that thing. Now I preheated it. Some of these don't want you to preheat it. Some of them want you to have the vents open. There's all sorts of different things. I'm just concerned that the plug got rather warm. The plug got rather warm. Didn't get like painful to the touch hot, but it got rather warm, which isn't a great sign. Like, I'm expecting heat from things that are plugged in. I'm just checking other plugs I've got around here that are actively drawing power to see if any of them are warm, just for comparison. Boy, imagine if I started out with that pork chop recipe and followed the recipe without understanding how this thing works and put in pork chops for 40 minutes. I would also like to know exactly where rather landed on my temperature scale. I've had things get warm before, like most notably my computer. The cord will get warm when it is drawing a ton of power. It's also, yeah, the thing is also 70s wiring. Then again, my house, I believe, is 70s wiring, so they should be compatible. Anyways, let's get those hot dogs. They're hot, and I'd like them to stay hot. But we need to bake our buns. I don't know enough about wiring to confirm or deny your statements. But I have a friend who knows about wiring. I might discuss seeing if we can't tweak the thing. But it gets very hot very fast. It cooks things very effectively with an absolute blast of heat. The smaller the number, the bigger the wire. It does seem like the cord is rather thin, considering that the coils inside the thing look just like the coils in my oven. And I know my oven has a big, massive appliance plug on the back. The cord seems a little on the shrimpy side. You know. Fortunately, it also seems like it cools off fairly quickly. If we open the side, yeah, it cools down pretty quickly too, because it's so small. That's the drip catcher. It's two things. There's a baffle plate that's supposed to keep drippings from splashing up onto the hot coils, and then an actual drip tray underneath that that catches the drips. Okay, I think we've had an outing with it that did not make me mad. But this is the plug. It's not got a ground on it. And it seems a little shrimpy for what this thing is pulling. To me. To me. I'm no expert. As we just discussed, I'm no expert. It's quite warm. It's not hot anymore. And the cord is not hot at all. So I'm going to move us away to here. Okay. So, yes, a few things to deal with. I'm glad I chose a very fast and low impact recipe for that. Hey, that's not a bad angle for the stovetop. Too bad the camera is super in my way. There it is back there. We're going to let it chill out on the staging table. Our dough ball has actually alived itself. Turn the bowl. Plastic wrap, tight fitting lid. Leave to rest for 30 minutes. I didn't pay attention to when that was. Did anybody pay attention to how long that has been doing the thing? It doesn't look too bad. Having the warmth, I'm sure, was a big help. Punch down the dough. I bet you we lost some of the activity in the milk because the milk was in such a wide dish that it cooled down very quickly. I think if I had kept the initial proof over here where it was warm, we would have gotten more starting activity. The yeast still seems rather inactive. And we're going to make 4 buns out of it. on a baking sheet, which I conveniently already got out. So I guess we're going to move on and do buns. We're going to move on and do buns. They need to bake. They only need to bake for 15 minutes. I don't do buns, but I always want to do buns. Because I feel like buying buns, they're so much more expensive than they should be. Adds yeast to grocery. Yes, definitely add yeast to grocery list. It's kind of doubled in size. I guess that's what I'm looking for. So we'll do it. Tell you what else I'm going to do. Tell you what else I'm going to do. Join me here. Where's my small tray? There it is. Join me here while I do this with plantains. Because I cut them and we're going to use them. But I guess we're going to roast them instead of trying to do them in the meat toaster. So oop. Honey. Yes, dear? No, honey. I don't need a spoon for that. I'm getting a little bit of crystallization in my honey. Keep an eye on that. Too much honey. Yes, the yeast definitely has done its best. It's doing its job. Thank you, yeast. You've pulled through. We should never have doubted you. There were some doubters. I had faith in the yeast all along. Honey, lemon juice. I want to say this one's the ancho. Yeah. Ancho. Little bit of garlic powder. Tiny whisk. Why did I throw you in the soaking dish? How many knives did I put in there? Forsaken my tiny whisk. should probably get the buns on their tray before I do this. I'm getting so distracted again. We're going to set that there. We're going to close up the honey before I ruin it with something. We're going to distract myself once again. We're going to parchment set to the side. Notice that there's a lot of wet right there. What's that about? Oh, I know what that is. Because this tray was recently washed and is thus damp. This beast, he's back. He got a lot bigger after he warmed up. He doesn't look amazing, but it's at least passable. Flour our worktop, flour our hands. I see, I should have greased to the bottom. I should have greased to the bottom underneath it, not the top of it. I get it. I understand. Punch out any big bubbles. Dang it. I threw my thing in there too. In light of me having thrown my scraper into the bowl of soaking water, the mezzaluna gets to cut our dough. That one is wrong. Okay, tuck under the ends. Kind of square us up. Put us on the baking sheet. Tuck under our ends. Kind of square us up. Baking sheet. Ends, square. Baking sheet. Disaster. Fixed, ends, square. Baking sheet. Whole baking sheet goes back over here because it's still warm on top of the oven. And I did not grab my tea towel. Oh, tea towel, tea towel. Okay. Cover lightly with a towel. Keep them warm. Over there. That's them there. We're returning over here. We are losing track. Can't believe you people have stuck with me all this time. I'm so bad at this. I hope that we can use the meat toaster more in the future. It's interesting. The fact that it gets so screamingly hot so quickly is very intriguing for getting just a blasting of a hard sear on stuff. It has me intrigued, but I need to know that I'm not going to burn out the cord. The cord wasn't smoking, the cord wasn't painful to the touch, but it was concerningly hot, concerningly warm. So yeah, I guess there's going to be a bit of a gap before the next time I use the meat toaster, just because I want to make sure that it's not gonna have a problem with a longer use. Anyways, back to the plantains. This is our combination of ancho, garlic, lemon juice, and honey, which we're using the lemon juice to thin out the honey a little bit because I would like to brush it onto these plantains. With some tahine. That's probably enough things. Brush. Tiny whisk. Done his duty once again. Duty. Definitely made up a little bit too much of this glaze. But I guess that just means I can put it on a little bit thicker. Oop, too thick. Okay, these are going in the oven right now, as they are. Oh. Let's see. I didn't look at the time on the buns. I guess we're just going to wait for them to poof up. They need the remaining half egg as well, which is here. And they need the brush, which I just got honey, spicy honey on, spicy sour honey on. The hot dogs are going to need to be reheated. We did them a little bit early. I can probably reheat them just by popping them in the oven for a minute. And we were going to make mustard. We were going to make our own mustard. If you've never made mustard, this is how you make mustard. Let's get a little tiny fork for this. I could make honey mustard. In fact, that's not a bad idea because I have this spicy honey here. I could make slightly spiced honey mustard. We need a dab more water. But the mustard you buy that's like a sauce is technically called prepared mustard. And once upon a time, you would be expected to prepare your own mustard at home from either powdered mustard or grinding your own whole mustard seed, which is what we did here. I started with mustard seed, ground them up, oh, and it's much more pungent. And I can also tell you we need more. We're going to need a lot more if we want to make mustard for our hot dog. That's not enough mustard. More. More. I suppose it makes sense that I get the same amount of mustard out the end as I put in the front. And a little bit of turmeric for the bright yellow color because mustard itself is like a grayish yellow. Wow, there's so many of you today. I just looked at the viewer total. Wow. Where'd all you idiots come from? Watching me do this nonsense. So the mustard you get out of a bottle has vinegar in it because vinegar is a preservative. It adds tanginess as well, but the top reason they use it in prepared mustard, pre-prepared mustard like that, is as the preservative. Oh. Well, that's why you're here. Vinegar also stabilizes the pungent compounds in the mustard, which are normally relatively short-lived. Well, good to see you, eFormer. I know you always comment, "Oh, sorry, I missed it," when you don't show up. So I know you've been eager to get back in the in here. I should shout you out. I should shout you out again. You know, fellow streamer WeFormer. In fact, get shouted. Go follow WeFormer. Make WeFormer stream again. No, you don't have to stream if you don't want to. Oop, too much water this time. I guess we'll have to add more mustard. Getting the consistency down is the hardest part in making your own mustard. Too much water and it becomes runny, and too much mustard and it becomes thick. Do I have any pre-ground mustard before I go grinding more mustard? Oh, it really smells mustardy though. How do I thicken it real quick without adding a bunch of more mustard? So it's honestly, it's probably not too bad. As it hydrates, it'll improve in texture. But that is how you make mustard, and then yeah, you just dial in the consistency by adding more, either more powder or more liquid. And you should add your liquid just a little bit at a time so you don't overshoot and then have to make more powder. But I think if I let it sit just a bit, it will finish hydrating. And form more of a paste than a, well, a slightly thicker liquid. Mustard. We could do honey mustard. Honey mustard would thicken it up quite a bit as well. Join me over yonder as I peek. Ooh! They're inconsistent. They're inconsistent, and I feel like they need to be longer. No, they don't need to be longer. They're literally the length of a hot dog. I don't want them to be real long. They might just end up being real fat, though. But they poofed. They poofed. We succeeded on the front of the poof. Glacier crest, hi. Before I put those in, to bake, I want to add another layer of our goo to our plantains. Goo. 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 and goo. And I want to do that now. Because I need the brush. Because we need to egg these guys. They're inconsistently sized, but I think that's just going to come down to do it more often in practice. Okay. In the oven they go. I'm impressed that they actually pulled through. I'm going to have to... I'm not going to sesame seed them. Good idea. I'm not going to do that, though. I prefer an unseeded bun, personally. Okay. The plantains are still in there. The buns have just gone in. We're going to reheat the hot dogs in the oven because I definitely cooked them too early. And that's it. Oh, and mustard. We made mustard, which has reasonably thickened up. We could have made honey buns, but I also didn't do that. I didn't set a timer. I've set a timer. I shaved off 2 minutes just because I think I lost 2 minutes. But yeah, I think that's all the elements. I wasn't making a big elaborate thing today. It was practice making buns and attempt to use the meat toaster. The meat toaster might be a fire hazard. I know nobody saw that coming. No one could have predicted that the meat toaster might be a fire hazard. But unfortunately, that appears to be the direction it's heading. And the buns have been a roller coaster, so we're going to see how the actual finished result buns turn out. I'm quite interested. I'm also pretty hungry. I had a late breakfast today and then skipped lunch with the intent of keeping myself ready for this. So I'm pretty hungry at this point. It's 2.25 hours in. Ooh, and my microphone is down to a quarter because I forgot to fully charge it up before we started. That's on me as well. And I didn't want to make a full batch of buns because then I'd have 8 buns and I'd be obligated to use it on hot dogs. So I made 4 because I figured 4 was less of an obligation. So I have been distracted by doing stuff the entire day today. I haven't engaged with you folks barely at all. What's everybody else having for dinner? I know Bookwoman jumped in with sloppy joes and coleslaw. That sounded good. Did I miss anyone else's? Glacier Chris is having Chipotle. Honestly, not personally a massive fan of Chipotle. Mags is having a hamburger. Homer's here. Hi, Homer. Um, welcome in. I can't cook every day. I am gainfully employed in these days and can't tear myself away for an everyday stream. Um, cheeseburger and a kumato, corn dogs and broccoli, chili, anasazi beans with rice and cheese. Also, hi Goldie. Um, I don't know. I think Goldie might be in the lead. I think Goldie might be in the lead in terms of dinner. um, Thanks, Weeformer. It's the same job. It was the seasonal work I was doing that was the reason I was gone for most of December. Um, they kept me on as part time for the rest of the time. Um, so it's the same thing, but less of it, which means I can actually fit in some streams. I requested Monday evenings off so that I could consistently be here on Monday evenings with you guys. And I hope to be able to fit some other ones in out and about. Chicken and red chili sauce, Spanish rice, and beans. Ooh. That sounds pretty good too. Uh, y'all are y'all are y'all are getting better at cooking, I think. You're gonna upstage me pretty soon. How much time we got? 7 minutes, halfway through. No, it's fun. It's a game store. So it's fun because it's hanging out, talking about games for the most part. It was kind of hectic for Christmas because, of course, it was. But now that that's over, it's much more of a chill, hang out, talk about games kind of thing. I should be looking at you like this so you can see me because we're not doing anything else. Because we're at the moment currently just waiting on our buns timer. Um, yeah, I don't really have. Do I have any other gadgets? We've showed off the meat toaster. The meat toaster was the big gadget of the day. You saw the little cutting board, but they came as a pair. Oh. They came as a pair, and this is the other one. It's obviously the same wood, but it's massive. Um, I discovered yesterday, if you're in my Discord, if you're not in my Discord, Let me drop you an invite to my Discord right now. Oop, I copied the part where it says hidden use copy button. What? Why won't it? Copy. Hidden use copy button. That's all it'll copy. I can't do an invite? What the hell? Can one of you who's in my Discord do an invite link? Is that a thing? Have I disabled invites somehow? I was going to say, the pizza that there's a picture of in my Discord, and I was going to link to my Discord, made me discover that the board here is big enough for me to cut a pizza on, which my other boards have been too small. Ryuya didn't have permission. Sorry, Ryuya. Try that again with permission. What the heck? Why does nothing work? Dang it. I don't know why Discord's not giving me the link, for one thing. I've always just used this. Yeah, a bunch of you are already in it, but there's clearly a bunch of people here who aren't. So it's not copying, it's copying the sample text that says that it's not a link instead of the actual link. Maria, both of yours showed up as just stars for me. Like it does when it controls out when Automod deletes a URL. That should do it. Add some dots to that and it should hopefully work. I don't know why Discord is being so weird right now. I Everybody's got Dang it. Okay, we're going to solve this. What is happening in here? Ooh, I can smell the buns. We've got a minute and a half left on them. I can smell the buns, though. Ooh. How do I disable? How do I disable filtering? Manage moderation settings. Ugh. Try it again. Try it again. Time. Hi. We're dealing with nonsense. Homer has arrived. Hi, Homer. Can I not copy it because I'm in streamer mode? Copy. Yes, Discord nonsense. When I try to copy my Discord invite link, it just gives me this. Anyways, that took so long that our buns are ready, so... I think I enabled hyperlinks for you guys, so it might allow you to post. Anyways, I just did it because I was talking about something that I had posted in Discord, and I was kind of like, oh, you guys, if you're not in Discord, this buns look weird. There it is. Everybody's got links now. The buns look like buns, but they look kind of misshapen. Look at the buns. Look at those buns. Ow. Also, the plantains can come out. They look a little stubby, don't they? Gonna put some tahine on the plantains while they're still hot so that it sticks. I didn't want the tahine to burn, so they go down a little bit after. I think we're going to use those two, not those two. But I could use all four of them. They look kind of like potatoes. They definitely kind of potatoed out. Where's my phone? It's in my coat, right? Take a picture. Picture before I do anything else with these guys. They look so cute. Well, first attempt at buns. My first attempt at hot dog buns. Getting the shape is the thing. They are, however, the appropriate length for a hot dog. One thing I hate about hot dog buns is they're always too long. These are a little bit too fat. I probably could have made some smaller buns out of these, but they're always too long. The hot dogs, by the way, are going into the oven, and the oven is going off because the hot dogs have gotten cold since we cooked them, because that was 30 minutes ago, I think. Because it was before I shaped the buns even. They did brown up very nicely. You don't like when the hot dog bun pokes out, or hot dog pokes out the end of the bun. See, I don't want a lot of naked bun. Now, these buns might be super tasty. I am coming from a position of saying I don't want a bunch of extra bun for crappy store-bought hot dog buns. And I'm like, I don't want all this extra bun. If the buns were really tasty, I probably wouldn't mind if they were kind of long, because then I'd have more tasty bun to eat. But I feel like you could have gotten, oh, they're like pillowy. Ooh. I feel like we could have taken part of that one and part of that one and made a fifth bun. Out of them. They're just a little bit misshapen. But I think the length is good, because they're they're almost exactly the length of the dogs. So even if you, they're that perfect level where there's neither thing is going to be overhanging. You're going to get dog all the way through your bun without overhang. But yeah, I don't. One of the reasons I want to learn how to make good hot dog buns is because I know that the store-bought hot dog buns aren't great. Um, yeah, I didn't punch them down super aggressively. I think next time with better yeast, I will be more aggressive with the punching down step because I didn't want to completely deflate them on the chance that they wouldn't repuff. Then they ended up puffing up again, so it worked out. I would bet. Let me get some chopsticks. That there is a bubble there, a bubble there, a bubble there, possibly a second bubble there. And this one, I think we got away with no bubbles. No major bubbles, at least. But yeah, I think we have, because you're looking at them end on, but if I swivel them out, you can really see that there's a distinct bulge there. A pretty distinct bulge on that side. And this guy's just being like fat. That one just got real fat. Kind of to bake together. I missed some discussion in my discussion. There are hot dog bun molds. Well, practice is what I'm thinking of, because I like buns. I like bread bun things. So it won't be like they'll go to waste. I just need to practice and get consistency. The bread to meat ratio, we just went through all that. New York style. Another streamer made buns. Link to recipe. Oh yeah, hyperlinks are enabled right now, so you guys can just link stuff. I normally have that kind of tamped down, which is why people get the little stars. As a strategy to filter out bots, although I haven't seen those seller bots show up very often these days, so maybe I'll leave it. Maybe I'll just leave it off for a while. I turned it on when I was getting those people coming in like, buy subs. And I was like, nah, dog, nah. Anyways, oop. Got a little bit of a craggly bottom. They're hot. That one's got a better bottom. That one's got a really nice bottom. Nice bottoms. The dogs are hot in my residuals in the oven. Crack the door so they don't get... Okay, we're over here now. We're over here now. They're in the same order they were in on the tray. I think I want to use that one, and I had one of you requested the big fat guy, who's trying to tear there, trying to tear there. There's definitely a big balloon inside there trying to push its way out. But honestly, I shouldn't eat all four of them, should I? Probably shouldn't eat all four of them. We've got our mustard. We're going to have a plate. A plating. We've got our plantains, which are still warm, so haven't missed those. I'm going to plate the plantains with our hot dogs. I'm thinking red today. Because all of these things will stand out against it. I don't want to go for either browns or yellows. Then put everything in the meat toaster. Yes. No, the meat toaster is going to need looking at to make sure we don't accidentally start my house on fire. It continues to intrigue me, but also I'm kind of afraid of it. I'm more afraid of it now than when I started. Oh, I know. We'll use the wooden tongs. There we go. Roast plantain in place of fries. Moment of truth. It's baked. Put a hot dog in our bun, call it a hot dog bun. Let's try this big fat guy, because we had a request for big fat guy. Ooh, he doesn't have any balloons in him. I'm surprised. They might be a little dense. That's probably, again, has to do with the yeast being low activity. I think they're just, oh, that one I cut too far and it's splitting under its own weight. Our mustard has achieved a mustardy consistency. Two other dogs are in the oven. It's not the fanciest plate I've ever done. I'm going to switch the sides so that the buns can kind of hold each other up a little bit. I'm not making my own ketchup, but I do actually want some ketchup. Do I want ketchup? No. Scratch that. No ketchup. I feel like I want something other than just mustard. Oh. Maybe not. Where's those Pickle tongs. We're going to get a pickle. Adding a pickle to the plate. For old yeast, they did a thing. They provided me with lift. They are a little on the dense side. They're also a little on the big side. So I think if they poofed up more, I could get more buns out of the same amount of dough. Because I don't want the buns to be necessarily massive. I don't know. I feel like I don't want to go too crazy with this. What if I take the pickle? And do one of these. One of those with it. Ooh, onions. This is why they pay you the big bucks. You get paid the big bucks by Twitch, right? Goldie. I'm just going to take a slab off of this onion because that's all the onion we really need. And the onion was massive. Yeah. Yeah, some like big old chunky onions. Even that was too much onion. Can't really see the dogs anymore, but that's fine. I didn't put any cream cheese on them. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to take a picture of the plate. And then we got to do the tasting, the part you've all been waiting for. Left my phone in here for a change. Usually I'm like, where's my phone? It's in there. You cannot see the hot dogs at all. Well, except for the tip of that one poking out. Okay. Let's dive in. That one is disintegrating. But let's dive in on this one, because this one I think is perfectly mouth-sized. Mmm. 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 The bun is not as dense as it looks. It's a little on the dense side, but it's not as nuts as it looks. The meat, the hot dog, tastes like you cooked it on a grill. It's got that like lovely direct heat char that you just can't get on a stovetop. Wow, it's really good. I could hollow the bun out a little bit too. The buns aren't as dense as they look. They're very soft. They might be just a hair underbaked, actually. The thing worked. The thing worked. It gave me hot dogs better than I could have done on the stovetop, which is a feat. Damn. Well, now I really want to make sure that it's not a fire hazard because I would love to use it again. Wow. I guess I have to do my diligence and make sure that the cord is up to snuff. But yeah, the main function of the thing, it made a dang good hot dog. Because these were just ballpark hot dogs, you know. These were just, you know, your standard ballpark. Well, this is whatever Angus is. This is a branding term, by the way. Angus is almost all beef in the U.S. So, who cares? So they don't have a skin on them. But they have a texture to them in this because they got so blasted. We could try the smoker. Well, that's another gadget we haven't tried out. The smoker. The smoker is a gadget we have not tried out because I don't know what to do with it. Where did I put? There it is. This absurd thing, stovetop smoker, is we haven't tried that one yet. We could try that one next time. We have hot dogs. I've also got salmon. We could try smoking some salmon. They're not snappy. It's not snappy. It doesn't have the skin on it, but it has some texture, which normally these skinless dogs don't have at all. They're just very soft. Getting them really toasty like that gave them some texture. We need to taste the plantain. I also love the snap. I prefer a natural casing because of that snap. We have to taste the plantain though. Nice and soft, easy to cut. Sweet, sour, just a little bit of spicy, just a little bit of salt. Those are good. A really sharp tang right at the front because of the lemon honey. But it doesn't carry through. It gives way into a lovely sort of subtly sweet plantain banana flavor. Because this was a fairly ripe one, not a completely ripe one, but a fairly ripe one, so it's got some of that sweetness in it, but not as intensely as a banana. Sorry, there's a rumbling happening in the back. What the heck was that? Oh, I know what that was. What was I saying? Plantains. And I like just having a hint of, oh, you know where the sour is coming from. So it's the fresh tahini on top too. But I like having just a hint of spice instead of a strong spice. I know sweet and spicy is a combo. Chili mango, things like that. But I think they usually overspice those. I like a little bit of spice with my sweet. Sure, post away. I've got, that's what the gadgets land is for. Tools and gadgets. I love to see it. I've been using it just to post things that I find, but I would love to see your stuff too if you've got some fun gadgets. Or pretty gadgets, or impressive pieces of workmanship, whatever. That's what it's there for. I love to see your stuff too. I think I've talked these up. The pickles, the onions just taste like pickles and onions, so I don't really have much to say about that. The mustard, I didn't really talk up the mustard. isn't super strong. Here's the thing with it. It's super mustardy, really intensely mustardy. But it doesn't have that tang that my mouth is expecting to go with it. It has that upfront mustard spice, but it doesn't have the tang because there's no vinegar in it. I didn't hydrate it with vinegar. I just hydrated it with water. So it's got zero vinegar. It's just the upfront sharpness, that spice of the mustard without the sourness of the vinegar. It's a lot more, yeah, it's a lot more like a horseradish because you don't usually prepare horseradish with vinegar. You prepare it, well, prepared horseradish is oftentimes mayonnaise based, but that's the thing. You can't get that flavor out of a bottle because that flavor is unstable. The vinegar stabilizes it. If you want that, you have to make it fresh because it only lasts. This one is just the generic store brand mustard, so it doesn't say, but if you get like Coleman's mustard, it says it only lasts about 10 minutes before the flavor starts to go away, so use it fast. But yeah, if you don't like vinegar, but you want some mustard and you want that sort of mustardy spice, you don't have to go through the trouble of grinding your own. You can buy the powdered stuff. When you hydrate it, that's when it starts to express its mustardy flavors. I would say fresh is different. I wouldn't say it's better. I would say it's different. It definitely has more of the top note spice to it. You could prepare it with vinegar, and then you would also have the sourness. I would be hesitant to use straight vinegar because that would make it quite sour. But fresh, it has a lot more of that upfront sort of nasal spice to it. Oh, Faceplant's posted in the Discord. Oh my God, we're zooming in on the 3rd hour, which means I need to wrap up because I got to eat this stuff before everything gets cold. So, I know we're just talking about mustard. So, I think the buns were a success. I think I need to work on shaping. Other than that, and yeast. Other than that, I think the buns were a success. I would try that again. I just need to practice. We might practice a few more times on that. The plantains were good. I wish I could have got them in the meat toaster. I think that would have worked and given us like a fun char, but they were too slippery. They really would have all settled at the bottom. But it did a bang up job on those hot dogs. Super impressed. We're gonna put it on the shelf and do my diligence on getting it electrically sound so that I don't accidentally burn my house down. Because I would love to. Glacier Crest, thank you so much. Welcome in. Use my emotes. Convince me to contribute more stuff to the channel. Wow. Wow, this has been an exciting night. Thank you all for showing up. Meat toaster. I liked it. I want to use it again. I want to make sure it's not going to catch fire when I use it for more than 5 minutes at a time because we only cooked for 5 minutes in that thing today. And as much as I liked it for 5 minutes, I'm worried that if I had something go for like 10 minutes for that medium steak that it promised me, it might melt its cord. So we'll have to put it on a little bit of a timeout until I can make sure that it's working. Anyways, other than that, I need to wrap us up. I need to get you guys out of here so I can eat my food before it gets even colder. It's already, the hot dogs are still warm. They're being kept warm by the bun. That's helping. Um, yeah, so let's drop a raid. I don't always raid out to food channels because most of my follows are gaming channels. We frequently go see LaFay. LaFay is once again on. I know WeFormer came here from LaFay. Um, I think Sal was on yesterday, but I think Sal is still sick. Uh, just, do we go for a food channel or do we go for an old standby? Hmm. I'm going to drop us on LaFay because I want to tell LaFay about the meat toaster. I think LaFay will get a kick out of that. Rayuya has the raid message, Jovial Raid. If you've got the multicolored smile, that's the one we always go for in the raid. If you don't, if you're a follower, I forget which ones of these are follower things. Probably the little munchy face. So, like, munch. Oh, yeah. I can't type. Munch. Yeah. So, I don't have a really formalized raid message. I will be for sure back on Monday next week. Monday has been carved out as my for sure time. You can't use it unless you're subbed. Oh, darn. I forgot about that because I can use them everywhere. Darn. I'll come up with something else. For sure Mondays, because Mondays are my designated time. I'm going to try to sprinkle some other ones in other times. It's going to depend on my work schedule. I'll see you next time.